Hey everybody, this is Pastor Tim with First Baptist White Plains, just checking in with you during this crazy pandemic time. I think one of the things that we're all feeling is grief, whether it's an illness in a family member who's passed on, maybe it's somebody who has lost a job, whatever it might be for you. Maybe it's just the loss of the life that you lived just a short month ago. These are all manifestations of grief. These are all things in which are hard, that bring difficulty into our lives, and we grieve them because they're loss. Uh, Loss is a change, and many things have changed for all of us. But I want you to know that there is healing. I was talking with a friend of mine about 4 or 5 years ago. He was in his early 60s and he broke his foot, and he was telling me he was at the last rehab session uh, with the physical therapist, and the therapist asked him, "Well, how's it feel?" And he kind of said, "It hurts." And the physician, I mean the therapist said, laughed and said, "Well, guess what? You just broke your foot. You're healed, but it doesn't mean you're not going to feel it. There's some this your foot has changed. We made it so it's going to work, but it is not going to feel like it did before you broke it." I think that's kind of what's happening with this pandemic. I think that there is things that will be long lasting of this. We're not going to get quote unquote back to normal anytime soon, if we ever will. We are going to be changed through this. So I guess one of the things we need to understand is, where is God in the midst of that? God is a God of change. In Isaiah it talks about, "I am doing a new thing." When he brought the people out of Babylon back into Jerusalem, no longer was it to be this nation that was just isolated and insular from the world, but it's now to be a people who were to be an example to the world of what it means to live in covenant relationship with God. So that is a powerful Old Testament word on the change that God brings, but also in Acts 15 in the New Testament, when the church was really struggling with their growth. It was growing so fast and within the Gentile population. And there was so much of a lot of stress and trying to figure out, how do we incorporate these Gentiles from all over the Mediterranean into this church, which was at that time really a sect of Judaism. Do we have to make them eat kosher dietary laws? Do all men need to be circumcised? Do all of these things in the laws have to be upheld? And so what was really happening was that they met in Acts 15. They had a council, and they decided that these Gentiles could become Christians or a part of the church without any kind of precondition, none at all, just a profession of faith. And so you could argue that one decision by the early church changed it forever. Our church obviously is a Gentile church now. It changed the dynamics. It unleashed the growth potential of this organization. And I think as they came to this critical point, many probably in the church grieved the loss of what it was. But now as we look back, we know that it needed to change. It needed to grow. It needed to be unburdened by other past regulations. And so the church was changed forever for the better, I believe, but it was changed. So we too are going to be changed through this. The churches throughout the world, our church in particular. I think one of the things I'm finding is Zoom Bible study is fantastic. I love this. I mean, we had a really great group of about 10 people last Wednesday. Please join us. If you're getting this email, you should be getting the link to the Zoom Bible studies on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And we just, for the last couple of weeks, we've kind of looked at the scripture for the coming up sermon, but that's not always going to be the case. We're going to look at different things, and as people bring up and share prayer requests, it's just a beautiful thing as we kind of share our troubles together. That's what it's all about. And we're going to need to do this from the convenience of our home, but guess what? after all of this, I think we're going to continue to do it because it is, people are busy, people are on the go, and they need to be able to do a couple different things. And so if we can stay in the Zoom situation, you can step out for a second, handle a family issue, come back, all of those kinds of things. It seems to work out really well. So this is kind of a small change, but something I think that will be very powerful for our ministry and life together. And then also recording services. I mean, we've done this for 5 Sundays, and it's been quite interesting. It's been a learning process, but we have learned. And it's one of the things I think that's powerful. I mean, we can get our message out beyond the walls of the church, and that's always been the goal of the church. Is in Acts it says to go to the ends of the world. That is what the mandate of Jesus to his disciples was, to go to the end of the world. So, so in some ways we have the technology that can help us do that. Why not? And so we're learning it. We are figuring this out, and we are excited about what the future can hold in our changed reality. So I hope that this brings you some hope. I know that we are all praying for one another. Please lift up those who are hurting. I'm lifting you up. Please, message me, email me, whatever it might be. If there's something going on in your life, I would love to know about it. And just continue to lift one another in prayer, and know that even though we're grieving the loss of a life that we once had, know that Christ is making us a new creation, making us a new life, transforming us by the renewing of our minds. It is in this that we have the hope that Jesus brings to us today. So be well, be safe, and God bless. And I hope to see you on the Zoom Wednesday night at 7. Thank you.